This is part 2. We talked about manifesting into the different solfeggio timelines surrounding the vortex, which we call the Schumann resonance that drives the sky. All right. And so let's now consider how disclosure is going to have to work. This is a problem because the internet covers several of the manifest solfeggio frequencies. I don't know exactly how many, but probably at least half of them. And so what happens is each timeline has a slightly different history. And so, how does officialdom talk about human history, talk about facts, when the facts that exist at one level of precipitation are slightly different from the facts that exist at the next or the next or the next? This is why governance and technology have to arrive at a doctrine, a policy, a dogma, a story that will work on different timelines. This has been a problem, all right? This has been a problem. Disclosure has to be different for each timeline, but there's no way that electronic communications that are sent out over the entire space can get differentiated into the different timelines. And this is why the stories that government tells are a compendium, an anthology of the possible outcomes for the 4 timelines. You see why things get so complicated and our officials look like such idiots. They look like they don't know anything. They don't know the ground that we're walking on. They're telling us that the sun is 93 million miles away, and they're telling us the moon is 226,000 miles away, and they're telling us that the world is a spinning ball, and they're telling us that evolution occurred and we ascended from apes, and they're telling us all these stories. And what they're trying to do is reconcile the differences in the way of thinking for these different timelines. That's not an easy task, let me tell you. But it's a partial explanation for why officialdom, and I spell that D-U-M-B, appear to be lying to us. Now, there are a lot of things that they keep secret. And the secrets that they keep because what applies at one timeline does not apply to all the others. So if something happens only on one timeline, there's no reason to tell the other timelines about it or report it. You see how crazy this gets, all right, from the cosmic perspective. Now, angels are interdimensional, and the planetary sovereign Yahweh is interdimensional. And human spirits, when you go out of body, when you have a dream, your spirit, your soul is interdimensional. And that's why our dreams don't make a whole lot of sense in terms that we understand empirically in causes and effects. Our dreams are just really strange and absurd. But the relationships still matter. And the intentions to do good and the intentions to get along still exist. But events are not the same on each timeline. This is part of the problem of our media, that the people writing the stories exist at a timeline possibly different from you and me. And so their stories don't make sense to some of us. You see, the internet covers several timelines. And that's why journalism is such an inexact science these days. Okay? All right. So when it comes to telling the truth, the best we can do is report our own experience and document other people's validated, verified experience where we are. And that record, like an Akashic record, like a record in somebody's family Bible where they recorded all the genealogy of the family tree and when the people were born and when they got married and when they died. That's why genealogy studies are very, very helpful. And I'm glad that the Mormons do them, keeping track of genealogy, because bloodline has to do with gifts and abilities and skills. You will never see a racehorse coming out of a quarter horse auction or out of a plow horse auction. The skills and talents that it takes to be a leader in a world of diverse humanity are highly cognitive, articulated, and empirical. And that means those people who are leaders have to be brainy. They have to be really brainy in order to capture and articulate a vocabulary that encompasses the experiences of everybody. And this is why the disciplines of mediation, arbitration, conciliation, and large group problem solving, which is assisted and facilitated by computer simulation and modeling, is at this point an absolute necessity in order for us to solve some of our complex human problems. But you'll notice in the atmosphere of divide and conquer, of faction seeking dominance and power, that the skills and talents and discipline of mediation, arbitration, conciliation, and large group problem solving aren't even on the table. They're not even being brought up. And that's why I'm doing this set of videos today. Now, both these videos, part 1 and 2 on Patreon, are free to see, for anybody to see, but the photographs, which took me a lot of time to upload and a lot of work, okay, those are for patrons only, but you at Facebook have access to the same photographs. All right. And on Patreon, I'm going to build the case that says if we want to solve problems, that's where our intention and our organization has to be. No longer fragmenting and separating and dividing into more factions. We need to bring together the people who are stakeholders in certain problems, and we need to run through the process of analyzing the problem, laying it out so everybody can see it, and deciding on the points of entry that will be effective in changing an outcome, which is what interactive management does. Okay, so I hope that this little two-step video this morning will give you some background in my hopes and intentions for being what I want to see in the world. And I would appreciate if you could give me feedback on this topic, and if you would kindly sign up at Patreon so that I have a two-way communication link with you. We can talk about things and maybe do some networking and maybe have some events. But I'm gonna have to get my organizational skills together. So let's see if we can actually do this. We're going to give it a try. Thanks so much. I'll see you later. Whoop.